Micah 5:2. But you, O Bethlehem, Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from of old, from ancient times. And from Matthew 2:1-11. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea, during the time of King Herod, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem, and they asked, "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." When King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. When he had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law, he asked them where the Christ was to be born. "In Bethlehem in Judea," they replied, "for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For out of you will come a ruler who will be the shepherd of my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and make a careful search for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go and worship him." After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen in the east went ahead of them, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold and of frankincense and of myrrh. Here is the reading of the Lord's loving and wise word.
Good morning. The skies are an amazing thing. When we look up, we wonder what's out there, who's out there. Do you ever look up and ask those questions? Have you ever seen the skies in New Mexico? Just billions of stars. I mean, it looks like a dark sky covered in diamonds. It's just an amazing reality that we have. I went searching because I was wondering. I was pretending to be one of the wise men, and just what it would be like to have searched all my life for the Christ, and to study astronomy, and to study the ancient teachings, and to look up into the sky and to have the belief that God is arranging the heavens in such a way that it means something to each one of us, that we can actually access knowledge through the skies. So what I did was I went searching, and I found a site that NASA has online, and found some very fascinating scientific facts about the stars, which leads into the meaning of Epiphany. So what would you say is the closest star to the Earth?
The sun?
Is
The
sun
sun.
star? Yeah, the sun.
The sun. I'm going to invoke your minds today. So the sun is the closest star to the Earth. All stars are made of the same elements. What do you think those elements are?
Hydrogen and helium.
Hydrogen and helium. And
Carbon.
Talking to the wrong guy, I'm a furnace salesman.
so hydrogen, Mark is right, hydrogen and helium and other trace elements. And did you know that every star, and this speaks to our journey, every star is in perfect balance. What is imbalance inside a star? There are elements, get this, that are in constant conflict with each other. They're fighting against each other and they're imploding inside of a star. But there's a pressure inside of a star that counterbalances the conflict. What is that pressure? Anybody guess?
Gravity?
Yes, yes.
Well, gravity is what's making the implode, but there's a pressure against the gravity, and that is inside every star, it is light. So from the conflicting elements, light is created and presses up against it. So with that gravitational collapse and the nuclear fusion that causes the light, we then get the illumination of the stars, and they become, anybody know the science of what most stars are called? They're called red giants. And most become red dwarfs, because what's happening with every star? They eventually
Burn out.
phase out. Some of the small stars are called brown dwarfs or failed dwarfs. And the color of stars range from red to yellowish white to what? To blue. Which one would you think is the hottest? Is the red the hottest?
No.
I'd say the blue.
The blue is the hottest and the red is the coolest. Interesting.
Yeah.
What is the sun? Yellowish white.
Yeah.
Interesting. As stars near, this is to me my favorite fact of all, as stars near the end of their life, they become abnormally bright, just like us. Huh? They increase in luminosity right before they phase out 1,000 times more than when they're just shining in their average lifespan. They become 1,000 times more bright right before they die out. Most stars, when you look up in the sky, you think you see one star. But most stars come in pairs, and even 3 or 4 stars clustered together. The biggest stars that exist out in this amazing sky can engulf Saturn. The most massive stars, this is interesting, because we wonder sometimes why really good people die young. Remember Alicia Titus? Sometimes we feel so sad. But I think I'm finding answers for myself in the stars as I research them. The most massive of stars, they die the quickest. There are, as you know, many, many stars. There are 200 to 400 billion stars just in our galaxy. And there are 500 billion galaxies. The closest star to the Earth, what did we say?
Besides the sun.
Besides the sun, is Proxima Centauri, located 2.4 light years away from us. It would take 4 years to complete a journey there and back
Traveling lights.
at light speed. So I mean, this was just some of the highlights of this NASA site that I found, and I just found myself in love with the stars and with the sky. Just in love, and I think part of the answers to our questions we can find there, for me. So as the new year begins, and a new decade too, we enter into the mystery of the star. The Magi, the wise men, followed that luminous star, which was probably a cluster of stars, to Bethlehem. And legend has it that there were 3 of them. Maybe practitioners of magic, priests of royal courts, astrologers, scholars. But what we notice this time of year is not only what they knew and what they studied, but for us what's really relevant in 2020 are their actions. What were their actions after they knew all these things and followed and chose to believe? And I think the most powerful action was a willingness to actually follow the star that they saw. It's a willingness to move forward and follow whatever star you're seeing, whatever knowledge, whatever heavenly light is guiding you in whatever direction that it's leading you. Because the stars tell a powerful story. Many have tried to identify the nature of the star in the Gospel of Matthew that was read this morning. Some say it was Halley's Comet. Some say a cluster of multiple stars. Some say a supernova explosion, or even a planet. The Divine Comedy Dante wrote describes God as, quote, the love that moves the stars. And it inspired someone who wrote named James C. Howell, and he offered that supernatural phenomena meant a demonstration that God is determined to be found. God is determined to be found, and will use any and all measures to reach out to us, whether we're open or closed. But when we're open, follow the star. So on Epiphany, we celebrate this moment when the stars literally aligned. There was an alignment so that we would see. God is determined to be seen, to be found. The stars aligned for the Christ's entrance into the world. The star points us to the incarnation. So what I find beautiful is that a point of light way out there in the sky brings us to the light here. It's an intimate invitation. So it's not only a beautiful universal message for all people, but it's also extremely personal and intimate. It's an increase of light within. So the question for each of us at this time of year, in this beginning of a decade, is where is God leading you? Maybe it's to stay right where you are. Maybe you're feeling a nudge. Maybe you're feeling the need to shift, to go a different direction, or to stay in peace or in agitation where you are. So it's important to remember that the light comes in the dark sky. So that's the background. So if you're feeling in darkness, try not to judge it, because darkness is the backdrop of the light and of the way. And when that light comes in our darkness, we are changed forever for the good. So this day and this point in our journey is about discovery. So put your adventure hat on. It's about searching. It's about gaining knowledge of God and of this place where we inhabit. And sometimes it's hard to see. Sometimes we can't even see the stars twinkle, can we? Because they're blocked, in our view at least. So what do you need to see? What do you need to know? The Magi teach the lesson that we must be willing, first of all. No one is so blind, as Jesus said, as one who will not see. Will not see. But will you see? Are you willing to see? Observing, rather than always talking, rather than always acting. Maybe the star that you will draw is observation. Action-oriented, rather than passive. The Magi teach us to seek guidance so that we're not all puffed up and know everything. Maybe we think we know enough. Maybe we realize we don't know everything, but maybe our attitude is, I know enough. But the Magi are teaching, keep seeking knowledge, guidance. Also, they teach us to respond with gratitude. Not bitterness, not complaining, not negativity, not the glass is half empty, but to respond from a place of thankfulness. And to stay open. Because how important it is to be open to something more that we don't know. So these are New Year's resolutions. Any one of these would be an awesome star-led resolution. So as I was saying at the start, before we started worship, there's a tradition that's becoming popular in many Christian churches around the country on Epiphany. And that's marking this day to receive a star word. So we'll do that each year at Epiphany. So there are simple words. There's just a word written on the other side of these stars up by the wise men. And if you'd like, you don't have to do this, you can pick one of these stars and look at the word that you've chosen. So there's mystery here. And you pick whatever, one underneath or one on top, one in front or one in back, whatever you pick is meant for you. That is your star word for the year. Your point of focus, your inspiration. It will be unexpected probably to you. It will be challenging to you, refreshing, renewing. All these things. Isn't that a great promise? So almost in this next moment, you will have the opportunity to receive one of these words. Pick one from the table. See it as a gift. And see it as the word picking you. See, we have so much control needs that we decide, I'm going to pick this, I'm going to pick. No. The word is going to pick you.
Yeah.
And carry it with you. Not necessarily literally. It can be on your fridge, or it can be by your bed table. It can be in your purse or your pocket. Don't try to figure out right away what it means. You know, you're going to pick the word. You're going to say, well, why did I get this one? But don't do that. Let it rest. Let it brood. Let the star and the word pick you and show you a discovery. O star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Let our next journey begin. Amen. So come forward and pick your star word for the year.